My name is Gerda Schenner. I'm from Austria, Europe, and I'm representing FIG. Habitat 3 is a very important event because it's now time to implement a lot of measures, a lot of programs into many regions, many urban regions all over the globe.
My name is Guylaine Hermanu. I'm French, of course, and I am a professor of architecture, urban design, planning in New York. But I've been involved with the Preparatory Commission for a long time. And in fact, the work I do outside of teaching in New York is about community development and working with community groups, grassroots groups in Harlem. It's interesting for me to see how the issues that you meet in your small neighborhood are issues that are shared by people all over the world, really. And a lot of what we believe in the Preparatory Commission is the kind of local-to-local exchanges, which means that you can learn from whatever is done in Ecuador, in Jamaica, in other parts of the world. And that's something that's interesting to me.
My name is Khaukakala Rabaloni. I'm coming from Republic of Botswana, which is in Southern Africa. Well, definitely Habitat 3 for us is very, very important. It's going to set the agenda for the next 20 years. Remember, we are just now getting towards the end of Habitat 2, which started around 1996, I believe that is the case. So definitely, now where we are now, we have to take stock of ourselves as a country, as the continent, and totally as the whole world, and then see how much impact we have made. For us, it's not much about the outcome. It's more to do with about issues of impact. How much impact have we made in terms of improving the lives of our people? Once we start gauging from where we started up to where we are today, is there anything that we can be proud of? Is there anything that we believe we still have to take some corrective measures on? And definitely, there are certain areas that we believe we still have to focus on so that we can improve our lives further. We know we've made lots of strides in terms of development, but we still believe as a country we are not there yet. We will never rest until everybody in Botswana has got a roof over their head.
Okay. My name is Gerda Schenner. I'm from Austria, Europe, and I'm representing FIG.
My name is Elkana. I come from Indonesia. I work as government staff at Ministry of Public Work and Housing. I think this is a very important momentum because Habitat 3 will be held after the SDGs agreement will be conducted. So it will be important to determine what kind of cities that we want in the future, especially for our next generation.
My name is Jeannie Birch. I am the Nussdorf Professor of Urban Research at the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Currently, at the global level, there are three major conversations. One conversation has to do with peace and conflict. A second conversation has to do with climate change. And a third conversation has to deal with inequality. Underlining and critical to those conversations is urbanization. Never before has urbanization been so important, because if we don't have sustainable cities and human settlements, we're going to have plenty of conflict. Let me give you an example. When I talked about sustainable, resilient, safe, and inclusive cities and human settlements, I'm talking about that arrangement in a nation where you have total synergies among regions that contain cities and human settlements. Now think about it for a minute. We have a huge dependency between the cities and their geographers call their hinterlands, their rural areas. We can't have one without the other. We need sustainable cities to protect the fertile farmlands, to protect the ecosystem services. We need sustainable human settlements so that we can have the communications, we can bring the agricultural products that the city demand is going to call for into the cities so that we don't have the waste that we have today because of inefficient systems. We can bring the health services that emanate from the cities out into the country. In other words, there's an enormous amount of cooperation and synergies that we need to be engaged in promoting as a way of addressing these issues of peace and conflict. Have we had examples of conflict? Yes. Think about 2008. Remember when the price volatility of food was so high? You remember when people couldn't eat? What happened? They went to the streets. They said, where is our bread? Why isn't this working? That's just one example. We don't want to have those kinds of situations. Let's talk about climate change. Second global conversation. What's happening with climate change? Where is the greenhouse gas being produced? Well, guess what? It's in cities. And where do we have the biggest chance of making a dent in that? But in planning those cities in such a way as they're energy efficient, they're low carbon, they're not producing the greenhouse gases they're producing today. How do we do that? We create walkable cities. Who produces the greenhouse gases? There are two major sources, transport and buildings. So what do we have to do? We have to design those systems, our shelter systems, our transport systems, in such a way as we can reduce the greenhouse gases, and that's where we have impact. Third thing, inequality. No nation has ever reached prosperity without urbanization. That is a fact. However, no nation has reached shared prosperity without paying attention to the inequalities that might exist in cities that do not function in a way that provide for everyone. And therefore, the fastest way to deal with the inequality issue is to deal with creating cities that provide opportunities for all. And that's what we're all about, and that's what we see the new urban agenda calling for in the future.